Once upon a time, there was a jumping frog named Flare who lived in an immense lake of crystal clear water, which was in the valley. It was a colorful place full of flowers that grew there and visited by many singing birds. Flare swam and leaped from leaf to leaf, singing and dancing to her heart's content. She tasted her favorite dish, buzzing flies, and she called him. She had already eaten a lot, but she was very gluttonous, and she was continued to eat. When she decided to stop eating, she wanted to eat the last of the day, but she could not. She fly this last fly very fast, so she escaped from the tongue of the frog. That made Fleur uneasy. She insisted over and over again, but it was useless. She was a swift fly. It was Evie, a young fly with a rebellious spirit, who refused to be the Fleur's frog's lunch. Fleur, exhausted from chasing the fly Abby, she fell asleep on the lake shore, under a small bush that provided shade for the jumping frog. Abby, on her part, figured out how to get rid of the extermination of which she was going to be a victim. She and her friend is, if not hurry, to make a plan. As soon as she saw the frog resting, she flew up very fast to where the other flies were, gathered them together, and said, "My fellow flies, the lake frog, Fleur, is very gluttonous and will eat us sooner or later. We must organize a plan to save ourselves. It is up to us to beat the frog. She's very lazy, and we can trick her." Bzz, bzz, bzz. The other flies murmured among themselves until one of them raised her voice. "Evie, partner, you have a fast flight, but not all of us fly like you. What can we do? How can we help you?" Bzz, 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 bzz. Abby was thoughtful. Other flies were afraid. From this moment, some preferred to wait for their fate in tranquility. Finally, Abby, with the help of Simon, a green fly, had a plan that could save them from the extermination. The plan consisted of creating a catapult and with the help of it, launching small stones to where the jumping frog was and found a confusing, instantaneous time for the frog so that this one could eat as much as he could, believing that these stones were indeed flies. Then it would be so heavy that she could not chase them. Although not all were convinced that this plan would work, they began construction on the catapult, very well organized with Simon at the helm. In a short time, you could see what they were building. It was almost sunset when the jumping frog woke up from jump to jump and making his familiar croak croak. He went to her house to sleep, without forgetting that small fly had escaped being eaten. The next morning, Fleur got up very happy, tidied her bed, cleaned her house, and went out to the lake. Jumping and jumping, she was singing, "I'm in the jumping frog that eats tangerine. I enjoy flies, and that's why I don't eat few of them. I like to dance and also jump. I jump like crickets. My name is Flare, the happy frog who is friends with an earthworm." Croak, croak, croak. On the other side of the lake, behind some fruit trees, were the flies, with the catapult covered with branches to camouflage it. Abby, in the company of Simon, carefully watched the frog, who was very amused by the lake. It was time to launch for lunch and Fleur felt hungry. Then she remembered the incident of the previous day with the speed fly. She said to herself, "That fast fly today does not escape from me. Today I eat it as a delicious lunch." The other flies were beginning to arrive and Fleur savored himself when he saw them. Already in the location agreed with Abby and Simon, they prepared to flutter to attract Fleur, who did not wait. All the flies were synchronized and the Simon signaled the trap to start. Fleur did not imagine what awaited her, and with little patience she jumped up to where the flies were, who buzzed as they flew. Simon, the green fly, and Abby, the rebel fly, very cautiously began to launch the stones with the help of the catapult, and the innocent Fleur, with her quick tongue, caught them, one after another. After a few minutes, Fleur's belly felt very heavy. He tried to jump and could not. Without understanding anything and the taste of earth in her mouth, she decided to lie down. Abby and Simon leaned out and flew to where the frog was, who tried to get up to eat them, but to no avail. From the top of the flower, the friends perched and said to Fleur, "Jumping frog, we come to talk. Don't eat us anymore. You are going to extinguish us, and that does not make us laugh." "Buzz, buzz, buzz," the frog laughed when it heard the fly Abby. Simon said, "With much respect, I come to say hello. Lady Frog, who enjoys jumping, you are a ballerina with a thin belly, but by eating stones it looks like a pig." Buzz, buzz, buzz. Fleur, surprised to learn that she had eaten stones and not flies, she replied, "Now to flies, I don't chase them because my belly is heavy, so bold that my belly has aged. When my belly rests, I'll eat them out of revenge." Croak, croak, croak. Abby insisted, "No, Mrs. Frog, don't be sagacious that we want it in peace. In this forest there are crickets, which are an exquisite dish." Buzz, buzz, buzz. The frog pointed out, "You made me eat dirt. Get ready, go for war." Croak, croak, croak. The flies understood that they had to fight the frog. They went to enlist their army and ambushed the frog. Fleur, after resting, little by little he was able to move, and from little jump to little jump he arrived at his house. He quickly made the call, and within minutes an abundant army of frogs filled the belly. The flies listened attentively to a roar. They did not understand. Realizing that it was all about, they changed their strategy. Being enemies of the frogs, they would finish them off. On the contrary, they decided to sing for the frogs. They threw the weapons they had for the war and grabbed maracas, tambourines, drums, and flutes. They began to play, and the frogs, listening, began to dance. There was a great party, therefore. But when the frogs were hungry, they wanted to eat the flies, who begged them not to be eaten. The frogs agreed not to eat them, but instead they had to touch so that they could dance. Since then, in the valley, there is always a party, and crickets are the new dish that dancing frogs taste.